Okay, now we are looking at decomposition into simpler transformations. We are going to talk about three kinds of decomposition. One is called polar decomposition, the role of diagonal matrix, and the last one is called the singular value decomposition. I am not going to explain to you the math behind it. I'm just going to explain to you the pictures, what it does, not how it does it. Okay, so first up is polar decomposition. Remember, last class, we talked about the fact that there were two kinds of things. One is pure rotation, the other one is stretch. Turns out that if you take any transformation, you can break it up into a pure stretch and a rotation. So how you can do it is not what I'm talking about, but you should be able to intuitively understand that it's possible to do. Consider the transformation shown. So can you see? So just to make sure, can you see how it kind of rotates and also kind of stretches? Is that obvious to you? I want to separate the rotation and separate the stretch. Okay, that's what we want to do. So this transformation has no eigenvectors, but it does have minimax vectors. So there are no eigenvectors. There is no direction which is unrotated. Notice, but it does have minimax vector. The green lines. So that's why I said min-max vectors are more important in a very fundamental way. So it has two orthogonal min-max vectors. Very good. So notice how the min-max vectors get stretched or squeezed and rotated. So watch that. You can see how the min-max vectors get squeezed and rotated. Okay, if you watch the green arrows, you can see that. We can imagine it to occur in two stages. Stretch transformation first. So we just squeeze and elongate along the min-max vectors until we get the correct shape. Then rotate transformation or rotate the whole shape into the final orientation. So we're going to do like a yellow transformation and a pink transformation. By the way, this particular decomposition is called a polar decomposition, and that looks like this. We're going to split M into a symmetric matrix times a rotation matrix. So let's see how that goes. So there, I'm only stretching. Can you see the min-max vectors are not changing direction? And then I rotate to the final shape, that shape. Let's play that again. Stretch first, that's the S acting, and then rotate the whole thing. So let's play that again. Stretch first, and then rotate the whole thing. See that? So the stretch part is the S vector. So stretch, rotate. Okay, why am I playing this again and again? Because I want you to get the clear idea how the stretch works and how the rotation works. Okay, this is called the polar decomposition. Separate shape change from orientation change. So first one looks at shape change only, the second one looks at orientation. So special preferred orthogonal directions are called special basis. So at this direction, when we first started with all our rotations, all directions were the same. There were no special directions other than the ones introduced by the transformation. You can introduce special directions that allow you to convert, draw a grid like this, and you have the coordinate axis and all of that. We can ask about special transformations relative to the grid that we pick. So if I pick a grid, then I can talk about some special way the matrix looks and things like that. Special transformation is called multi-axial stretch, pure stretch with minimax vectors in the same direction, that is usually given by a diagonal matrix. So there, can you see that the stretch is along the X and Y axis? So that will be given by a diagonal matrix. Can you see that? So that's the diagonal matrix. The two bases and hence the grid are only stretched, not rotated. So this is a special symmetric transformation when the basis vectors are the min-max vectors. So that's very convenient. The basis vectors get elongated or compressed. There are no rotations. Now we are up to the last item, which is called the singular value decomposition. So rotate first, then stretch along the basis, and then rotate back. So think of it as 3 stages. You take it, you rotate it so that it's aligned with the axis properly, then stretch along the axis, and then rotate it into the final orientation. So that is what SVD works. So I'll show you how this works. So that's my original transformation. All kinds of things are happening. The basis is shown in the red vectors. So you can see that the basis gets rotated. All kinds of things are happening. So first thing we do, so that's how it works. We're going to break it into 3 transformations. First, rotate the min-max vectors until they coincide with the basis. Stretch it, rotate it. That's the overall. So watch these two. See? These two things are the same. So the way it works is identify the min-max vectors, rotate until the min-max vectors coincide with the basis, expand or contract the basis, and then rotate to the final position. So identify the min-max vectors first. Can you see the min-max vector here? Then rotate until the min-max vectors coincide with the basis, stretch along the basis vectors, and then rotate to the final shape. Can you see that this and this are the same shape? Then rotate, stretch along the basis, rotate again. This is how SVD works. Now, to get this is not a simple item, but I mean, to actually get this SVD sorted out is not simple, but it is possible. Is it intuitively obvious to you that we can get any transformation by means of these 3 elementary operations? Rotate, stretch along the axis, rotate back. So it looks something like what you do to a pizza. You know, you can see the constant rotation and stretch, rotation and stretch. So it's exactly how you play with pizza. So summary, linear transformations, stretch, elongate, compress, and rotate individual vectors. You can see that here. There you go. That's what a linear transformation does. Vectors are pattern preserving, but angles are not preserved. They convert circles or spheres into ellipses and ellipsoids. There may be vectors that are only stretched but not rotated. If there are such vectors, they are called eigenvectors. There are always at least 2 or maybe in n-dimensional orthogonal minimum maximum vectors that are the major and minor axis of the ellipse. So eigenvectors may exist, but min-max vectors always exist. Orthogonal transformations are transformations that preserve length and angles but may change orientation. They encode change in orientation. Symmetric transformations, also called pure stretch, are transformations that stretch but do not rotate the min-max vectors. They encode change in shape. So orthogonal transformations encode change in orientation. Symmetric transformations encode change in shape. A multi-axial stretch is a special symmetric transformation where the 2 chosen orthogonal bases are stretched but not rotated. Polar decomposition. Every transformation can be considered as a symmetric transformation S followed by an orthogonal transformation R. So notice symmetric transformation S followed by orthogonal transformation R. It will separate change in shape and change in orientation. You can dig deeper and you will get singular value decomposition. Every transformation can be viewed as a sequence of 3 steps. Rotate the min-max vector so that they coincide with the basis. Apply a multi-axial stretch to get the elliptical shape, and then transform the ellipse into the final position. So first rotate min-max vectors, stretch them, and rotate it around. For all of this, the min-max vectors are the most important. The major axis of the ellipse and the minor axis of the ellipse are the most important. I hope you got a basic idea of what different transformations are about. Thank you very much.